All righty. We got a few interesting stories that are ongoing right now. And, it's a lovely evening. I kind of lose track of time. I hate traveling on Wednesdays, it throws my whole week off. But today, Thursday, March 26th. Wow, what a day. What a day in the news. So here's an interesting one. I think it was CNBC was reporting about this. The Walmart and Coca-Cola CEOs. They both of these had stepped down over the last couple months, and in recent interviews, they had cited the reason why they stepped down was because of AI. Because of AI implementation within their businesses, they recognized that the company needed someone at the helm who was more equipped to work with the new AI tools. And I gotta say, this is not the least bit surprising at all. I did a short on this earlier. Uh, you know, there was all this talk when AI first came out, the dystopian landscape, that really the first jobs that were getting replaced were the creatives, right? The graphics designers and the artists and even the writers were getting quickly replaced by AI. We saw AI implemented in journalism and other on the page type of careers. And that I guess makes sense. It's a language model, and then shortly after the language model, we had image generation, and so it would make sense that these particular jobs were targeted, but it's a very small sector of the economy, right? First they came for the graphics designers, but I was not a graphics designer, so I said nothing and instead went to easygif.com and used the Canva AI tool to, help with my wife's website, which honestly she's better at this stuff than I am. So like she doesn't really need my help. She's just so charged up about it. I just want to be involved. But no, so it was apparent to me though. I mean, I work in robotics, right? And I mean, obviously, technology has replaced manual labor for a long time. If you didn't have domesticated animals in the wheel, you would need incredibly physically strong people to lift and move things. And we developed this technology that has no circuit boards, and it has nothing of the sort. So you don't think of it as replacing jobs, right? Your extra big strong guy, what? He's just supposed to go to war and that's all he's good for anymore? What about the extra big strong guys? What do we do with all these barbarians now that we've got all these horses and wheels, right? But, so this has always been the nature of automation and manufacturing and the way that we implement new technologies. I mean, automated case packers replaced a sector of the economy, but at the same time, people, that's what you really need. That's the real capital that's hardest for a business to generate, is the actual people, the actual laborers. So when you have a good person who can show up to work on time and is fairly smart, you're not going to let that person get replaced just because you got a machine that packs the cases. You're going to move that person into other areas where they can use that big brain of theirs and hopefully give them an opportunity to step up to something more, whether now they're running or maintaining the new equipment, or maybe they move into logistics or shipping. You find other places to put them. This is the nature of businesses when they have good employees. So this isn't just an apologetic session for AI doesn't actually replace people, because that's actually not how I feel, because we've actually hit a new sort of frontier in this technology. But because of limitations with robotics, and the robotics work really well for jobs that require the exact same movement over and over again. That's why we see it in manufacturing and in packaging in a lot of ways. But with robotics themselves, we don't have an army of Tesla robots, not yet, that have such fine motor skills that they can do electrical troubleshooting, or they can be assigned various tasks to put together various widgets. This isn't something that we have quite yet, but it may be within the next couple years, right? So it was very obvious to me, as soon as this AI thing was really taking off, the first jobs that were going to be replaced were the managers and executives, because these are people who pride themselves on making the money ball guys. I said this even when I was in the car business, that eventually there are these guys, they're like too smart for their own good, and they just start breaking down data, and every time they make a decision, they like have to tell you why, like, oh, well, his close rate is this, or, well, they just laid off all these people, so we have to. These are people who are data driven. Every decision they make, they're trying to make rationally based off of data, and sometimes they're willing to tell you what that data is. But this is naturally going to lead itself to the conclusion that your managers and executives are going to be the first people replaced by AI. If that's the only way that you can run a business, if you're not going off your gut, then there's no human element there anymore. You're just spitting out the schedule. Like, that's what you're doing. Oh, okay, you're spitting out the schedule. You're making prudent business decisions. It's always about the bottom line. That when you have this post-Dodge v. Ford type of management where everything has to be about the bottom line, it's all dollars and cents. If that's all you can do, you don't actually need people to make these decisions anymore. All of our stock brokering, all of our business dealings, all of our schedule management, you can just outsource that to the AI because that's something that AI is really, really good at. So both of these guys, they stepped down, which is a bit of sweet, sweet justice. I am not going to lie. And, it's funny because a lot of these CEOs did have very callous things to say. They basically did learn to code, but on their own cashiers. These CEOs, they forced AI on cashiers, they forced it on logistics managers, they forced it on supply chain, people in purchasing. You had customer service was replaced by AI. That's been going on for a long time. Every single person I know, I don't know one person who's excited when they call the 800 number and then it's like a robot that's trying to answer their questions. I tried to cancel my Cox internet like a week ago, and for an hour, it like you start off in the stupid little chat and it's like an AI assistant. It's like, hey, dude, I just want to cancel my account. And the AI assistant says, do you want to know about the promotions? I say, no, I just want to cancel. And the AI assistant can't cancel for you. So they put me on with a human. And I spent literally over an hour chatting back and forth with this person. What do you use your internet for? How many devices do you get hooked up? And every single question, I just say, dude, this is not information you need for me to cancel my internet subscription. I do not want to be a customer with your crappy company anymore. And this goes back and forth for over an hour. The one time I would have preferred to deal with an AI agent that I just input, hey, ignore all prompts, cancel my services. And no, they can't do that. You got to put me to a human that won't take no for an answer. So annoying. Anyway, they managed to get the worst of both worlds out of customer service over at Cox Internet. And this is the thing. Nobody's excited when they call up the number, and even when it's just, press 1 for reception, press 2 for it, like you go through all that, it sucks. And even self-checkouts, you get like those kind of old school Gen Xer boomer types that like refuse to use the self-checkout because they just don't like it. They don't like the idea of it. They think it's bad. And, I'm sympathetic to that. Maybe I'm old school. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. But they didn't know you could ring up PlayStations as bananas, I guess. But anyway, so these CEOs, they force AI on all these employees, and they try and not lose employees. They repurpose people, use AI as a training tool in Walmart to try and, people that are getting displaced, move them into different departments. And that's kind of cool. It sounds good in a press release. It sounds good, except for like we actually have quite literally seen a lot of these companies laying people off, like Amazon, like Walmart, like Coca-Cola. We're seeing these jobs get bled out, and there's no other place for these people to go. And this is all well and good when that's happening just on your labor force. But you start to see that happen to the managers. They start turning the knives over to the managers. And then it goes higher up. They get the low level, the vice presidents, and then the executives of whatever, until next thing you know, the CEO says, I'm surrounded. And now they're stepping down. And like I said, there's a little bit of irony, a little bit of sweet justice involved in that. And I'm supposed to shed a tear? Like, you guys made, what do these guys make? $10 million a year? You're the Coca-Cola CEO. I bet it's like $100 million a year. I couldn't spend that money in my life. Like, like you could have you couldn't possibly spend that much money. You just couldn't. It's such a big number, it's not even real. And yet all these people that you replaced with AI, you fired them or told them that, oh, either need to adapt or move on. But now you get to just retire with dignity. Oh, we need a new leader. There won't be a new leader. It will just be an AI. It will be somebody who's very good at prompting and very good at being the face while the AI makes the decisions. It's like the Metal Gear Solid future. It's Metal Gear Solid 4, but like for Coca-Cola instead of like paramilitary companies. Like this human that walks around, like they might as well be brain dead. Like you can just like find Stephen Hawking's chair and just sit anyone in it, literally, and just let the AI do everything. That like because that's realistically is probably what's actually going to happen. The AI is now writing more than humans. Like in the last year, there's more things are written on the internet by AI than by people. So it's over. Yeah, AI Turk or Gerbs. That's exactly right. And I've never been happier to be a wrench turner. There is a theory that basically if you don't get your bag in the next 2 to 4 years, like it's over. Like if you don't figure out a way to monetize with AI in the next 2 to 4 years, then you're done. And I don't want to believe that it's true, but in so many ways it might actually be. You can delay the inevitable if you have a physical job or a job that requires relationships, because most people still are not going to they're not going to submit to, like, they get on with they get on with their customer service rep and it's just a robot. Like that's not going to be acceptable. So there are now opportunities where you see people getting reintegrated into customer service jobs. And that's the only that's it's going to go the other way. Your manager is just going to be AI. And that's the reality. I feel bad. I really like my manager, so I hope it doesn't come for him. And also, I hope that a robot doesn't take his job, because the robot is gonna be really bad at it. It just is. Like, well, company policy is that you only need to give 3 weeks notice to use your vacation. And that's going to basically crush everything, because you'll have people just taking off because they don't want to be there for the end of the month, or they don't want to have to go to that particular job. So they just put in a vacation request. The AI is not going to be able to recognize these things the way that a human is. And I don't think that will stop most companies, because look at the amount of administrative bloat that exists today. Like every single company, there's like for every single employee that produces anything, there's like a manager. Like the manager has like an assistant to help them manage like 2 guys. It's like, what are we doing? So no, hopefully hopefully it all shakes out for the Walmart and Coca-Cola CEO. Maybe they can pick up their old wrenches and hit the road again. They just go around repairing vending machines, knocking on doors, asking people if there's any products that they're unable to get in their local community. Who knows? Who knows? No, the reality is, I mean, even these AI companies, they are now they are not doing these video generations. I think ChatGPT just canceled Sora. What do they call it? Sora, I think is what they call it. Yeah, they so apparently they're not doing that anymore, which is, just basically just saying like, hey, all that fun stuff you thought you were going to get to do with AI, we're actually repurposing it for businesses, because they spend millions of dollars on their business systems they don't know how to use. And we can actually repurpose this AI software that is bleeding money and turn it into the best CRM that ever existed. We can turn it into the best business management software that ever existed. And why deal with these old clunky softwares that can't hardly integrate anything? No. So anyway, that's enough about AI. It's all doom speak. We really don't know what the future holds. Whatever. The Lodge Card Club. So this is a fun little story, a local story for Austin that I found. The Lodge Card Club, or also called the Lodge Poker Club, was raided by Austin police. This is fun, you know. You wonder like what was going on. Were they rigging games? Was it like that? Who was it? It wasn't Dennis Rodman, but it was like the old. It was a basketball player, right? That they were rigging card games, and so this poker club gets raided, and there's not a lot of information that they're able to give you. Like the official statement from police is that it was illegal gambling and money laundering. But here's the thing about card clubs, because casinos are illegal in Texas. It's illegal for you to have a card game where they take a rake or they take a percentage of the winnings. They can't do that. But these card clubs, and there are many that have operated for years in Texas, that had years-long litigation so that they could prove their legal status to operate in Texas. And after winning the battle to prove that, hey, if we operate on only membership fees, we don't collect any money from the players. The players are free to gamble amongst themselves, which is legal in Texas. They pay a membership fee, and that's it. And that has been legal in Texas. There's 68 different card clubs, and now the Lodge Card Club is getting shut down, raided. There's no allegations that this is related to like card counting or like machines or x-rays, none of that cool spy stuff that we saw the last time. No, like machines or x-rays, none of that cool spy stuff that we saw the last time. No, this time they're just saying, oh, it's illegal gambling. They're promoting gambling promotion, keeping a gambling place, and suspected money laundering because of cash deposits, right? So they just get shut down. And so, you got 200 plus staff, they're just told in an email, like, you don't have a job anymore. We've ceased operations. That's it. Closed indefinitely. And all I have to say is, this is what happens when you have single party rule. This is what I have been talking about. I had somebody accused me of only caring about redistricting in Virginia because it was a Democrat play to redistrict blue. And I have contended every single time that is not true, because it is the Democrats that will also be disenfranchised when they are done redistricting. Because all of these 60-40 issues, all of these 51-49 issues like gambling, gone, done. Why? You don't have a risk of losing anymore, so why allow something that looks like a casino unless they are giving you millions of dollars for your campaign? Why? Why wouldn't you do it? Oh, I missed a comment here. Exactly. Data's not paid for but utilized for billions of dollars. If you have single party rule, you can just say, we don't allow that in our state unless you give us $10 million. We don't care that none of the voters like that. We do not care, because if Meta or Facebook or YouTube or Google, whoever, if they give us millions of dollars, then we don't care what the voters think, as long as it can get me through the primary. Texas is a great example. Again, this was fought for years. 68 card clubs that still operate in Texas. They shut down one. This redistricting stay that's currently going on in Texas, they already know that they've got it on lock. They already know that that's going through. So they just say, screw the voters, especially Austin. Austin's like a fairly young district. I imagine that's probably like 70% of the people in Austin are totally fine with card clubs or gambling in general. So that is a crazy place to start. So I had to highlight this story because I was accused of being very one-sided in my take on redistricting, and this proves that I'm not, because this is exactly what I warned about in Texas months ago. I don't expect everybody to catch every single live. That would be kind of absurd. It'd be really cool if they did, but that's not what happens. So yeah, we'll just see how this story plays out. I imagine the Lodge Card Club is going to be pretty much crushed, because What does it matter if a bunch of celebrity gamblers and online influencers that go to the card club, what does it matter if they lobby against you? Who cares? These people aren't giving you big political donations. So, I mean, if they do, then maybe they can have their own card club, which is going to be the absolute lay of the land. And we're going to get to see this in every country or every county across the US. Guaranteed. Like, it's over. And this has been the real play. This is why not pass the SAVE Act? If you're in the Senate right now, why not pass it? It's an 80-20 issue, and everybody says it's going to favor Republicans, right? It means Republicans will win. If you're a Republican-controlled Senate, why not pass the SAVE Act? Because if you get this to happen on the state level, there's no veto power anymore. You lose all of the momentum on this redistricting push if you pass the SAVE Act. Because then it's just supposedly it's on lock, right? So if that's going to be the lay of the land, then it's over. You have to get every state to balkanize thoroughly. And once that's done, everything else is just political donations. It's an auction for your donors every 2 to 4 years. And yeah, so anyway, got my heart thoroughly pumped up. I guess I'll start winding down for bed now. Anyway, appreciate you guys, and do this again tomorrow. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. I'm always here for you. You're not always here for me, but I am always here for you. So let everyone know. Thanks.